Can you hear my fan?
No, I can't hear anything.
Alright, cool. Hi YouTubers. Welcome to this week's episode of BBNaija Lockdown Breakdown.
Okay, I'll just type it on the group chat. Fantastic.
You're listening to the BBNaija Lockdown Breakdown on Not Just OK Radio.
Yup. You know the vibes. Welcome to another episode of our very own BBNaija Lockdown Breakdown. Thank you for riding with us for another dope episode. I'm very glad you're here with us, and hopefully we can make it worth your while. With me, as usual, is my co-host. Introduce yourself.
Hey. My name is Ify Ajike. Welcome to the show again. This week is about to go down.
Yep. So everybody, I already posted up what we're talking about, but just in case you're not aware, this week we're covering everything that basically happened in the last week and anything relevant that happened between Sunday and today. So starting, we're going to examine Erica and Lakon's relationship in depth. We're going to address Ebuka's table shaking and everything that entails. We're going to talk about Neo and V and their strategy, individual strategies and collective strategy in the house. We're going to examine Tolani Barge, Prince and Wathoni, and we are going to discuss consent and the organizers' reluctance to to talk about it with the housemates. And of course, we're going to look into anything else you'll suggest on Twitter. So get at us using the hashtag BBNaijaLDBD. It'll be lovely to hear from you. And of course, drop your comments on YouTube. If he's looking over that, she'll read them out as and when you guys buzz us. So let's just dive right into it and just mention that. And of course, drop your comments on YouTube. She left the house. Unfortunate for them, but they won't be missed. So that's that. Right, going straight into our number one topic of the day, Iffy. Talk to us about it, man. We all want to know what's going on with Laycon and Erica.
Hi guys again. Okay, so today our first topic is going to be about Laycon and Erica. This is a very exhausting, hectic, stressful situationship going on right there in the Big Brother house. And so basically, like, you know, it started off as, I don't know, it was a friendship at first. I think I mentioned this last week. Laycon and Erica, they were quite close. It seemed like an unlikely friendship, you know. But like as the days went on, they got closer, and I mean, like, it was cool. And then last weekend, Laycon declared his interest in Erica, so he wanted more from Erica than she was willing to give, you know. And it's been drama all the way along. So firstly, she's like, "Oh no, I mean, like, I'm connected with you mentally. I have a mental connection with you, and a physical one with Kid Wire, you know." And then that quickly changed from connection to attraction. So I'm not sure if it's the nomenclature that changed that made things get, you know, like, to where they went to, or it's just what it is, you know. But like, I mean, it's been crazy. So throughout the week, we heard Erica going on and on about, how she wanted to be with Clearly, she wanted to be with Kid, but Laycon wasn't having it. So the whole week, he did all he knew. He tried all he could, you know, to get her attention. But clearly, the girl's mind and everything is firmly planted where Kid Wire is, you know. And Saturday, I saw her attention. But clearly, the girls and all the mind and everything, and you know, Laycon just really took it really personally and all of that. But it was beginning to seem like it was a war between Kid Wire and Laycon. And Kid Wire had not said anything about it anyways up until maybe like yesterday, you know. So what do you think about this situationship going on in the house?
All right, so thank you for that breakdown. Basically, up until now, you know, I mean, as we'd long suspected, Laycon has a crush or deep feelings for Erica, however he chooses to put it. And he's sort of been going about the house on a house tour, discussing with all the housemates about his feelings for this babe and how she's chosen Wire over him, etc. So the annoying part is he's not just describing the situation. He's sort of maligning her, like, you know, little snide comments like, if I were outside I could get a babe like her, you know, it's not a big deal. She came into this house, she thought guys would fall over her, they didn't, you know. And last night, was it last night or the night before, he said another slightly pernicious comment saying, if I were outside I could apply pressure, she'd go fall, you know. Those kinds of things just let us know there's a bit of bitterness coming from Laycon towards Erica. So I mean, I think things really came to a head on Saturday after the party, right? When he made those statements about Kid Wire and how he would attempt to have sex with Erica though both were drunk, and Erica asked him to protect her, etc., etc. So it's been kind of messy and highly uncomfortable at times. Okay, and there's what happened when Erica won head of house on Monday. Now, how did you read that? I want you to go first and then I'll counter. How did you read that situation?
Okay, so for me, I feel like what happened with them, like after Erica won, because, you know, they had said, we're not going to talk to each other again, no hugs and everything. But then when Erica was about to go, Laycon had made some eye contact with her and give her the thumbs up. And that's not a big deal. However, after she won, he went to give her a hug. So I mean, if you say that, you know, I should stay away from you, then yeah, you can just wave at me or just say your congrats and everything without having to come give me a hug. So after the hug, they went back to the house. Now I know that there's a lot of conversation about it on social media yesterday about Erica going to have a conversation with him, but I understand where that's coming from because, you know, before she won, like I think some weeks ago, I think the week Laycon had an injury and couldn't participate in the head of house task, you know, and in the head of house task. they had promised each other that if either of them won, they would take the other person, like they'll choose the other person, and so, but then things have clearly changed. So obviously things aren't the way they used to be as at the time they made the promise or whatever to each other. Now, if you remember in Pepper Dem last season, that was the same thing that happened with Diane and Esther. They had promised each other that, they'll choose each other to go to the head of house room and all of that, but then when Esther was now involved with fraud, she obviously had to choose fraud. So I think that it was really out of respect as far as I'm concerned. And I mean, like, just considering the fact that I'm your friend and I had made a commitment to you, Pio, that, I was going to choose you. And so, but things had changed at this point, and then it was okay for her to go. What I have a problem with is her
Wait.
Okay, go ahead.
Pause. Like, I think this is a point I made to you last night, so let me remake it myself. When she went to Lakon, everything you said, any reasonable-minded person won't object to that. Do you understand me? You had a pact, an opportunity for the pact to be enacted came true. Then you went to the guy to speak to him. That's fair enough. I agree with everything you said. However, where my problem arises is what you say when you go to the guy. Erica has displayed an inability to be firm, an inability to make a decision and stick to it. When I say stick to it, I mean you don't like this guy. Don't display any physical affection that he can misinterpret, because she's chosen Wire, and she's still giving him the same kind of level of intimacy, in quotes, that they had before he confessed to her that he's got feelings for her. So she will still hug him. She will still play with his hair. All these things. Meanwhile, she knows that she can't reciprocate the way this guy feels for her, right? Anyway, so post her win, she then went to Lakon and started giving him a story as to why she couldn't choose him. Mind you, she was never going to choose Lakon. But what she wanted was for Lakon to approve her decision of her choosing Wire. So she's saying to him, you wanted space. We can't share the same space. It'll be uncomfortable. It'll be awkward for both of us. And it'll be awkward, she said. He asked her, for you or for me? Because I can sleep downstairs. And then she said, yeah, she started meandering, prevaricating. And then the guy said, you know what? It's okay. Let's discuss this once you've made your decision. So what I had a problem with was that she was trying to manipulate him into being the one to say, don't choose me, even though she was never going to choose him. So the approach to Lakon is not the issue. It is what she said once she approached Lakon. That was the problem. Right?
Yes, I agree that. A lot of the things that she said was just really so unnecessary. Like, the conversation should have ended like in the first few minutes, which was, hey, listen, we basically made a pact to choose each other, if either of us won. But then, things are different now, and I'm just going to choose the person I want to choose. She should have just kept it, straight and simple like that. But then she didn't. So I mean, I think Erica's handling of her and Lakon's situation is what has made it so much worse than it should have been. She's not firm. Like, she's not firm. Like, she had to really nip this thing at the bud just from the beginning. Say, hey, listen, I like you as a friend. I'm attracted to you. I'm connected, or whatever it is. Oh my goodness, I like you. I like your mind. Like, you have a beautiful mind, or whatever it is that she wants to say to him. However, at this particular moment, I'm attracted to someone else in a way that says, I want to be with the person. In the way that I want to be with the person. So, but then she didn't do that. And the moment she started, meandering and making excuses upon excuses, and then when he asks her direct question, she said, I don't know, it's almost like, so you don't know, so I'm just going to tell you what I want to tell you, So that's what really made everything so much worse. Erica wasn't firm with Lakon because this thing should have ended a week ago.
Exactly. Exactly.
Set your boundaries and say, listen, if you respect me, you're going to respect these boundaries that I've set. But then she didn't set any boundaries anyway, so the guy just kept inching closer and closer and closer until, and then, I mean, like, it's just been a hot mess. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah, I think Lakon needs to maintain the distance he's told Erica that he's going to maintain right now, and stay away from her. Respect himself and respect her wishes and stay away from her, like he promised her he would do. Erica also needs to ensure that she maintains that distance. As of today, that's been the case. They've both been maintaining their distance from each other, and we hope that continues, because at times it was uncomfortable to watch how they related, because in conversations it seemed to me and to many other people who watched the show that there was slight manipulation going on vis-a-vis her choice of Kid, because the way she speaks to Lekon about Kid is not flattering. She speaks about him as if he's about nothing except the physical, like he's a completely vacuous guy and it's just a sexual relationship that he's interested in. So Lekon then parrots these same lines to other housemates, and of course he injects his own, and it's
exactly.
on. And I hope this distance puts a stop to that kind of interaction between them. All right, so that's our bit for Erica and Lekon. Please tweet at us and let us know if you agree, if you disagree, and why you feel the way you feel. Okay, now moving on to the second topic on our list. Dun, 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 dun. This is a segment that I really was excited about, because I was quite annoyed on Sunday with Ebuka's shaking tables. I was very, very, very annoyed on Sunday with this. And I was annoyed not because it shook tables, because some people clearly wanted him to. I wasn't part of those people, but some people wanted him to. So here's the thing. With a show like this, it's live in quotes, but we all know it's delayed. What avid viewers like myself wanted is a near enough accurate representation of what's going on in that house. If there's any manipulation, it should not be easy to spot. Am I wrong, Ife?
I agree completely with you, Tola.
All right. So last season, if you recall, in the episode with Venita and Kathy, where they'd been going back and forth, and then Kathy decided to put a stop to that. So the following week, she said nothing at all to Venita. Not a word about her, not a word to her. Meanwhile, Venita went about the house telling everybody that Kathy was gossiping her up and down, in her words. Ebuka then comes on stage and tells the whole house that Kathy was talking about Venita during the week. Meanwhile, it was untrue. And this is all his shaking tables. So now this season again, he's gone and said Dora admitted to having feelings for Ozo, and he heard it himself. So it's either he's got an exclusive stream of BBNaija that we all don't have, or once again,
it's a misrepresentation of the
facts. So now you've directly, whether willfully or otherwise, affected a housemate's game whilst in the house, and it's unfair. It's unfair and it's inaccurate, and I think the viewers deserve better. Ify, what do you think of this?
Okay, so I agree with you completely, Tola. I think that, as a matter of fact, if you didn't mention the Venita Gidoni situation, I would have mentioned it, because that's just one thing that just kept popping in my head, like the whole weekend, after the live show. Like the thing with so again, it just seems to me like, come on, she had said this thing to you, so it's almost like you're playing back. The person I remember that had a conversation with Ozo about Dora's liking for Ozo was Katrina, who left 2 weeks ago. So it was kind of like, okay, where's this really coming from? Because I don't think, and in fairness to her, I don't think that she's admitted to anyone that she cares for Ozo in that way. So I think she's maintained her stance of, oh, he's my best friend. If she feels any type of way about him, that's what we don't know. It's really left for her to say, But then as far as what she said, because for him to say, oh, I heard you say that, I was shocked, like, yo, when did I say that? And you could tell how pissed off she was at the end of the show, after the live show, because it was like, it just felt like someone was picking on her, and no, it wasn't on at all. So yeah, I think either like as you said, he has access to like extra viewing that we don't see, or there's just something going on.
Yeah. So that for me is unacceptable, because it points to a larger issue that people have spotted. And when I say people, there are avid watchers, and there are people who watch and analyze, like you, like me, like a few people on the BBNaija list that I've got right now. So here's the thing, right? When I talk about manipulation on the show, I don't want to see it. It's a reality show. If you watch reality shows, you know that manipulation always goes on. They present a view of the characters in the show that is advantageous to the production, and to them making money. That's just what it is. It depends on the level of engagement each character and their storyline is receiving, so they arc the show in that direction. It's not new, okay? However, this week it became really apparent that this is what they were doing. I think you listened to the diary session for.
Oh, with Nengi.
You listened to it, right?
Oh, yes, I did.
Did you hear
Oh my
how?
goodness, yes, it just seemed like it was very manipulated. I wasn't impressed with the way it was such like it was literally like someone was giving you advice on something or telling you what they wanted you to do. And I was very uncomfortable just listening to it. So I imagine how much more uncomfortable that she would have felt, being in that situation. I think that it's something that maybe they need to check. I'm not sure if it was intentional or I don't know, but whatever it is, it's something that they need to check because you also do not want the housemates to feel like you're like pushing them, towards a particular direction. I think everybody's there for themselves and here to play a fair game. So I think that it will be good, to just let people just do whatever the hell they want to do in the house. Yes, of course, over advice when it's needed, but that particular conversation seemed like she was basically being told do this. And then in the end, it seemed like, okay, there was a little bit of like a disclaimer, like, okay, I'm not saying you should do this, However, the deed had been done already. So I think, yes, moving forward, it's something that the production team needs to check because, it's a show that we're all clearly involved, like so invested in, and you don't want to lose interest really because of
No,
things like that,
before we even move
yes.
forward, let's pause there. Because there's something we forget. When Ozo went to Big Brother with this dilemma, he said to Big Brother, I'm feeling this way about a particular housemate. It's not moving as I want it to move, etc., etc. Big Brother said to him, Ozo, he said to him directly. Ordinarily, Big Brother likes to speak in riddles and leaves it up to the housemate to pick up the point that he's made. But he said it to Ozo directly. Are you here for love or are you here to play the game? Plainly and directly.
Yeah, that's correct.
You can't miss the intention behind that response, right? So the boy picked up the vibe that he was supposed to be here to play the game. Now contrast that to Nengi. Nengi said to him, I'm having an issue because the perception in the house is that I mean something else when all I'm doing is I'm playing with the guys. How do you think I should address this? And she then said, I think it even stems from my relationship with Ozo. We're just friends. Even when Ebuka asked, I told him we're just friends. Only for Big Brother to say, is that what you said, Nengi? And then he actually quoted back what she said when she said, we're friends for now. And then he stressed that for now and asked her to expand on what she meant. She gave a long spiel about how she and her last boyfriend, they're on uncertain terms and she would like to see what that is when she gets out of the house. However, if that road is closed, she would not preclude leveraging whatever connection she and Ozo currently enjoy in the house, right? Big Brother then asked her to go and tell Ozo that there is a possibility he could be her boyfriend post the show. How is this not direct interference and direction of the housemates to do something that production wishes to see happen? How is that not that?
Yeah, that's true.
Too blatant. It's just too blatant. It's just too blatant. You can't direct characters in a show and we're all watching you do this live in quotes before our very eyes. You're telling the characters exactly what it is you want them to go do, and then you tell another one to do the opposite of what you've told this one, and we're supposed to believe that Big Brother is a fair arbiter and he's just a voice in the game and whatever. The production team needs to do better. They need to do better, and that really, really, really disturbed me because that's what we see. So then imagine what we don't see. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, that's correct. I totally agree with everything you've said. The production team, like I said, they have to be mindful of that because you don't want to seem like you're manipulating the show. I think like I said, the housemates, they're they should be able to make their own decisions and do what they want to do. Advice when necessary, and just leave it at that. The interference is a lot. Actually, it's actually a lot of interference. It's coming because the truth is, even the housemates, when Ebuka says something, they read a lot of meaning into it. So when Ebuka says something like what he said to Dora, for instance, the housemates take it to be that, because Negi kept hammering on, I didn't even know this kind of thing was going on. But nothing was going on actually. Do you get what I mean? Like nothing was going on. So when you make those kind of comments and then the housemates run with it, when Big Brother says something to the housemates, because they feel like Big Brother is like a voice that is like so
He's
powerful,
all
so like
knowing, he's all
he's all knowing
seeing.
exactly,
Yeah.
like has like the highest level wisdom and everything. So when he says things to them, they take it really seriously. So it's almost like you don't want to manipulate anybody's game. Just let them do whatever the hell they want to do and just guide when necessary.
No, I mean it's disturbing to me because at the point he gave Ozo that advice, it was apparent that Ozo's pining for Nengi was costing his game. So they needed him to focus on the game. So they told him, "Are you here for love or are you here for the money?" Essentially telling him, "Guy, focus on your game." Now to keep the engagement rolling, they're telling Nengi the opposite. I mean, look. I hope they're listening. If they're not listening to this, I hope they've read a lot of the fans' response to that particularly insidious to me diary session. And I hope it doesn't repeat itself because it's not good. It's not good. And we see you, we see you. Change your ways. Honestly, the interference is too much. Change your ways. Even Ebuka's shaking of table was direct interference because he said Dora did not say what she said. To me, that was also a production decision. And the way he framed the Lekon Erica saga was also far too favorable to Lekon because then
Yes.
they made Erica the villain.
And that's also, I think, like I said before, Erica also needs to learn to speak up for herself because you see,
Exactly.
this thing had gone on for a whole week, and then when she was asked, she conveniently forgot everything that she had said to Lakon, which is, okay, just let me be. I want to be with this person. And then only remember that Lakon said, I should give him space. He wants space. I mean, like, girl, that's not the right way to present yourself. You have to, she has to learn how to be firm and speak up for herself when necessary. So it was like totally wrong for her to, on herself. And then, of course, there was a big production as well about in the house after the show, where the housemates kept hammering on the fact that Kid Wire said, oh, he was enjoying Erica's company. But really, Erica's response wasn't exactly favorable to him either. So what does it mean when someone says, "Oh, you're my special friend"? Do you understand what that means? So it's almost like, okay, so if he said that, what exactly do people want, the viewers want Kid Wire to say? "Oh, I want to marry her," when she had just said to everybody that, "Oh, I'm a special friend." That doesn't mean anything. That's not saying anything. So
Shout
To
out to
me
the
that
R&D. This is my once in 30 minutes interruption. Shout out to the
go on.
R&D. Shout out to Tola. It's OVA. Guys, you have about 6 minutes to vote. I'm just
Yeah, go
throwing that
vote.
out there. Go vote on the Not Just Okay handle on Twitter for the housemate of the week. And also, just to add to you guys' conversation, there was this article that came up on the Africa Magic website. I don't know if this is
Oh
something you want to talk about
yeah,
later.
it's good we talk
Yeah.
about that. Thank
So
you
there
for
was
bringing that
yeah there
up.
was an
Yes.
article that came up because this is just since you talked about an agenda, and I'm wondering, the article looked like they were bashing Kidwaya. They're making him look
Kid
like,
Wire, yes.
yeah, like some sort
Thank
of
you very
guy,
much for
and
bringing
making
this up.
Lakon look like one kind of
Yeah.
hero, and they vilified
Thank
this
you
guy.
very much for bringing this up because I
Yeah.
think it's pertinent to this current discussion of the interference, the blatant interference and manipulation going on during the show. Because if you think about it, it's clear, referring to our reference to the framing of the questions to Lekon and Erica. It's clear that the production has decided Lekon is a good guy, therefore their narrative
And
around
Kid
what's
Wire is
going
a bad
on,
guy. Yeah.
Kidwire is a bad guy. So that article basically insinuated that Kid Wire was up to no good, and look at this angelic Lekon, a gentleman, juxtaposed with this player, heartbreaker. Like, how can a corporation have emotional investment into a show where all
Honestly,
the housemates are equal, and then you're telling us there's no
it
interference?
looked like a hit job to me when I saw it. I was like, what the
Yeah,
hell? Yeah. Anyway,
it's really poor.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you,
that was
OVA, for
totally
bringing
wrong.
that.
Like, and I think the apology even was even worse because how can you then come out to say, oh, we're sorry, we got emotional. How are you getting emotional? Like on a show as this where all the housements are supposed to be equal. So
Yeah.
it just really really reeks so much of foul play. Honestly, it's just
It's really
wrong.
horrible. It's really horrible. And I hope, they know that we're watching them and we will call them out because we're that invested in the show. And if they want our money for voting, they need to respect us and not take us for idiots because it's obvious what they're doing. Anyway, moving on swiftly. Next on our list is Neo and V. Ah, Iffy, do you want to lead this one? Because this couple, man, this
Yeah.
couple is stressing me
Okay.
out. They're stressing me
Yeah,
out.
so and it's kind of upsetting for me because I personally really liked Neo at the beginning from day one. I've always liked Neo, and then I mean like I think like I said he's a delicious looking man. He's so good looking, and he dresses so good, you know. But then he's just like exhibited a lot of personality traits that I don't find exactly attractive. And then V, on the other hand, I mean, like in week two, she came out of her shell, she was in her element, and she like was speaking fire, speaking the truth, and all of that, But then, I'm not sure which of them because it seems like there's a lot of influence within themselves. Neil seems to have a lot of influence on her. Take for instance, the situation with her and Dora. Okay, Dora is someone that I don't know what it is with Neil and Dora, but they've had this thing going on for about 2 weeks now. Okay, and then Neil keeps bickering about Dora to V and Dora to V and Dora to V, and all of a sudden V has bought it. So it's not like a personal beef. And then at every slight opportunity, like today, as we witnessed today, she goes up at Dorothy. Even though everybody has said to her, oh, it was this person that laughed. Neil laughed and what's his name now? Praise laughed as well. But then she just wouldn't let it go because she has like a personal bias against Dorothy. So I think that it's weird to me that the housemates think like, oh, they're the power couple of the house right now as it stands. Maybe because they're the only two that seem more genuine than every other person. There are actually no ships this season, no actual ships this season. So just them after Larry left, So but it's kind of strange to me that they don't see what we out on the outside are seeing. Like there's a lot of they're influencing each other so much, and I don't think it's good for either of their games.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, but my primary concern is V herself. Ovia, what's going on in the background? Can you please mute whatever it is you're doing? Thank you. My primary concern is V, actually, to be honest, because I think the girl, the woman, the young lady we saw in week two is sort of fallen under a shadow or cloud of some sort. She has gotten so pessimistic,
Exactly.
so
Mm-hmm.
negative. Like they do a
Negative.
task, she's already predicting that she's going to fail. For example, yesterday, Friday, no, was it? Was head of house task. There was an obstacle she came across, which was to pick up a tennis ball with a fork. Immediately, as soon as she got to the table, she declared that it was impossible, it was negative.
It's too hard. I can't do it.
Anybody who got to
Nobody
the
can do
table
it.
would fail. Only
I
for
know.
Nengi to get to that table and successfully complete the task. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that
Yes, yes.
negative energy, she walks around a cloud of darkness, with a cloud of darkness over her head, bringing down low energy. And then today they were doing a task, like you said, she blows up because she's super sensitive. But when it's her turn to teach or her turn to inform, she's already concluded that she's going to have issues, so she's not ready to deal with anything. And if you can cast your mind back to when they were practicing for the last weekly task, V, come and teach us, come and lead the singing section. She got up there. I'm not going to repeat myself. If you don't listen to me, that's your problem. If you want to fight, that's your... So, sister, help us to calm down now. So that energy has turned dark on her. So, and
Yes, it's too dark on both of them actually.
exactly. But he can mask his well because for some reason, the housemates have accepted that he's just joking. Even when he says all these insulting things, they just always excuse him that he's just joking. But for her, she's got that British thing where it's like you deliver it without emotion. But then on the
Yes.
flip side, she's full of low energy emotions. It's weird. They've really fallen down my list. I can't lie. I think either of them or both of them need a jolt to bring them out of this reality. I mean, this faux reality that they're under, that the power couple, everything is nice. Do you see what I mean?
I think it will definitely take one of them to be at the bottom for this weekend for to just have a reality check. I mean, like I think V she's an amazing young woman. She has a lot of I mean, like look at V of week two, and even maybe some part of week three, the beginning of week three, but everything just went south from like maybe like Tuesday of last week. I don't know what happened. So like I mean, it's just really been crazy watching her become who she is right now. So there's a lot of influence and interpersonal like interference between both of them. So she's influencing him. She's deciding like, oh, this person is this and that person is that, and he's also doing that to her. So they're choosing who to dislike and who to like, and I mean, like, you can't play like that in a game like this. And the funny thing about that is Neo is a bit sneaky. So Neo is not so outspoken about his own.
Exactly.
He just does his own with style, and then V is the one that with the voice that like, oh, get lost and all of that, and then curses you out, and then they realize that they forget to, that the show is now like, I mean, your instant eviction is dependent on these housemates. Unlike before, when it's nomination, then at least you have a buffer. So if you have a good whatever outside, following outside or whatever like that, fan base outside, they could save you.
No,
Now,
I mean, before, wait, sorry to interrupt you. Before, you only had to be better than one person or two people and you were okay. But now...
Exactly. Now you're up against the whole house. So it means that you need every single person in the house, right, as it is. So you can't go around cussing people out. And I mean, like, because the thing is, you think you're cussing out one person, but that one person has a friend. And that person's friend may not necessarily want, like, may not find it funny. So you know what, they'll laugh with you. And then on that day, if you're in the bottom four, everybody just goes in there and just calls your name, like, yo, just be going home, I beg. Don't do, Yeah. So I think she really, really needs to check it, because, I mean, she's just really messing with her own game.
Yeah. Okay, Faxi says Neo and V are feeding off each other's energy. I agree with you there, sis. C at Elzion says Neo needs to go. I don't know how they're giving advice to other people when they aren't even sorted out what they have, when they haven't even sorted out what they have between them. And M Saudatu says, and honestly, V has much more potential than her pessimist behavior. Let us see. Tolu Oluyinka says, no need for jolts, I beg. They should just be going. Yeah. Some people agree with that. OB Out Loud says, guys, I don't think V fell under any shadow. She's manifesting. She's not very nice and not very happy, and it's everybody's fault all the time. Olugbemi says, Neo has beef with Dora because of her resistance to the ozone ship. Because of the you get that. He's fed that to V, who couldn't discern things for herself. Then she's weirdly under this crippling fear of failure. She needs to get out of that dark funk. I agree with you, but it might be too late. Purple Tweety B says V is bad vibes. Do we have any comments from YouTube from you?
Not yet. So guys, if you're listening in on YouTube, drop your comments. We'll take some of your comments as the show goes on. Thank you.
All right, excellent. So now let's move on to discussing another ship. This ship, I mean, it might be a canoe, it might be a kayak, it might be a cruise liner. It depends on your angle. So this is the Prince Tolani Barge, Watoni, and maybe Nengi ship. What is your impression of this current situation going on between these particular set of housemates in the house?
Okay, so I think the Nengi aspect of it, I think that died like a week ago. I think that's been taken care of. I think like they're clear on what it says now. So I don't even because for a while I haven't seen them interact with each other as Nengi and Prince. Because she seemed rather disappointed on the Sunday that she had the fight with what's her name? Lucy. Yeah, she seemed rather disappointed that the Prince didn't come to sort of like, find out what happened or speak to her about it. And I mean, she had like, a catalog of sins that he had committed against her, and she wasn't just having it anymore. So I think Prince then quickly, just removed himself from that situation, because he's also not like Ozo. I'm trying to say that, but then he's also like a bit of a stubborn person as well. So he's clear about what he wants, and he's just not going to let anyone make him feel like any less than that. So he moved on from that situation. Now, Bethany, as far as we remember, was the first person to be close to Prince and who had feelings for him, which she'd never mentioned to him, by the way, until the Tolani Badge angle. Now Tolani Badge has taken over, and it's not like ownership. There's a joke on Twitter. Period. And then there's a joke on Twitter that she's holding him captive. They said, someone said, if Tolani Badge wins HOH, she's going to take Prince, and he's going to have to wear an ankle monitor. That's how seriously people think, that it is. Like how, she literally like wants to be in charge and generally take control of it. But Prince is not having it too. So Bethany has said, oh, you know what? I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I think I know what's going on. You like her or she likes you or whatever it is. So you guys go and sort yourselves out. Me, I've left the group chat. So now, out of how many people now? The quadrangle, it's now left to, there's not the last two people standing. That's Tolani Badge and Prince. And then Tolani Badge, honestly, that relationship is non-existent as far as I'm concerned. Tolani is in that relationship all by herself. Like, it doesn't seem like the guy has any interest whatsoever, in being in that relationship. When he talks about, he looks so unbothered, he looks so uninterested. She has to constantly ask, are you even listening to me or whatever? And they go like, yeah, I can hear you. Go on, So like it's just it's a ship that shouldn't ship that shouldn't sail actually. So yeah, I think this is not determining. However, it also could be a strategy for either of them. Because there's also that angle. Prince could be playing a game because he feels like viewers want to see ships, and of course a lot of them are avid watchers of past Big Brother seasons. So they feel like, oh, this is what viewers want, but you don't really know what we want, sweetheart. Like we don't want no dry ship. We want an actual ship, and if you're not gonna give us that, then just play your game all by yourself.
I'm minded to agree with you, but Ophia, what's going on in the background? Can you please mute whatever noise that is? Thank you. I'm minded to agree with you, and I think, however, I would like to speak for Tolani Badge. I mean, I think the running joke is that she's got Prince on lock, blah, 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 but people are failing to listen to the conversation. She's asking him so she can be clear, because she says to him, if you're with it, I'm with it. If you're not with it, let me know, because I don't want to be embarrassed on national TV. So her questions are along those lines. Do you still want to pursue anything with Tony? If you do, let me know. But of course, her delivery is dry and very straight to the point. So she comes across as very aggressive in her pursuit of him. However, if you watch her around the house, she's not exactly pursuing him either. She spends way more time with other people, with other girls, talking to Tricky, talking to Lucy. She does her own thing. At night, they might converge in the same bed, but during the day, she's off on her own, doing her own thing. She's keen to not be embarrassed. I don't see any outsized display of affection from Tolani to Prince either. So I think the reading of this situation is slightly wrong based on the two conversations we've been privy to. But both have essentially centered around the same thing. Let me know if you're still interested in these other people, so I will know how to maneuver, I will know how to pattern myself accordingly. And Prince being very careful, he's a very careful game player, which is why Nenki exited herself from him, which is also what Watoni had to say about him, which is what Tricky T had to say about him, which is what Kid Wire had to say about him. So his game is obvious to everybody in the house. He's very careful about presenting what he thinks or how he feels. So you can't really know if it's true. But like you said, it's apparent to me that he's not interested in Tolani. But at the same time, I don't see that Tolani is dying for him either. She's reluctant to be embarrassed. And that's what she keeps hammering on to him. She's not stuck to him like glue. She's doing her own thing. And they're apparently in something. But the something, only God knows for them.
Is what we don't know.
That's what I've noticed. So I'm not so sure that it's a ship, but something are gone. We just don't know, So that's Tolani Badge and Prince, or Oriade as I like to call him, because he's very sexy when he has his makeup on. If you know what his makeup is, add us using the hashtag BBNaijaLDBD. All right, so let's talk about this fourth issue that has been really bothering me since week one.
Okay, so before we talk about the issue, I'd like to read a comment from from YouTube. Sorry. So yes, so someone Adako Ferry says a sinking ship. That's referring to I think I don't know if it's referring to Tolani and Prince or V and Neo. I'm not sure where that's coming from.
It's relevant.
It's very relevant. Yeah. So let's know which of the ships are sinking, Adako. Thank you very much for your comments. Damian Abel said, I personally think that everyone has their low moments during the season, as we've seen in previous years. V is probably just going through hers, and I'd say it's because the game is getting tougher.
That's a
Thank
good
you
point.
very much, Damien, for your comment. Yes, thank you. That's a very good point.
That's a very
Damien
good
also
point.
said Prince is a sneaky character. He's with her out of convenience, no desire, and I think he's trying to be in everyone's good books. And he's one very worried about the opinions of the viewers. Yes, Talani, it is a kayak. So
Yes.
someone said that it's a kayak. That's the Tolani badge and what's his name now?
Prince.
Prince. Yes, the ship. It's not a ship. It's a kayak. Okay, thank
Yes.
you, Ashabi Filet.
So our listeners are clued in. Everybody correctly guessed that Prince's makeup is the hat or the do-rag. You're damn skippy. When he takes that hat off or the do-rag off, he goes from a 90, in my opinion, to like a 39. But when he puts it on, oh my. That boy is sexy. All right. So moving on to our fourth topic, this is something that has been bothering me from the beginning of the show. I think if you're proper R&D, shout out to you. I share your passion. You guys know me. This is like my fourth year of tweeting about this thing, like I own shares on the show. So I do this for real. Okay. In Sigobe, we had an incident with Kemen. You all know what happened there. But for Twitter, that incident never would have been addressed, and the abuser would have gotten away with assaulting T-balls and nothing would have happened. It was an eagle-eye Twitter user that highlighted the fact that Kemen was touching T-balls unbeknownst to her. Remember that, okay? Now
Yes, yes.
fast forward to DW. Cece tried to make an allegation against Toby that he was touching her without her approval, if not for Toby's adamance. And once again, for Twitter, someone presenting the video of them in bed and touching each other on the night in reference, that could have been a scenario, right? Fast forward to Pepe now.
Yes, yes.
In bed with Esther and Fraud. When Fraud bared his bottom to Esther, despite her telling him not to, that could have been an incident had Esther taken offense. Luckily, she understood the dynamics of her relationship, and at no point did she feel threatened by his behavior, though it was inappropriate. I hope you guys are following what I'm saying. You see a pattern every season so far. We've had an incident that could have been or was something of concern, right? So, of course, as a lover of the show, I and other people as well tweeted that in week 1, these people should be given a consent workshop. Not just generally saying no means no. No. Talking about the nuances of consent. The yes, no, not like that, not right now, I am not interested, maybe later. The gray areas as well as no means no. But the production, for reasons unbeknownst to the watchers, have refused to have this conversation with them. And given how we spoke earlier about how much they're interfering in the show, God forbid anything happens, they're not going to show it to us. But guess what? Every single incident that I've referenced, eagle-eyed Twitter viewers were able to spot it and highlight it. And I can bet you, again, God forbid, if anything that looks like inappropriate behavior occurs once again, they're not going to pick it up, but we will. We will, because we discuss these things on Twitter. We've come a long way from where we were to where we are now, right? So, when the incident with Kidwaya and Erica happened, it might have been an accident, but once again, alarm bells rang off in my head when he either accidentally or on purpose groped her breast. They were dancing.
Yeah.
So you could say perhaps it was an accident because she wasn't facing him. So maybe he wasn't aware of the movements of his hands. I know what I think, but I'm keeping it to myself. All right. So Twitter users have been asking them, give these guys a consent workshop. Help them to understand the gray areas. So it's not enough to say, I'm not a rapist. But are you touching women inappropriately? Are you looking for excuses to get the housemates drunk so you can play truth or dare with them and kiss them because you know that their senses are not sharp? Right. Ify, what do you think about this?
Yes, I think that like we've been on this for a really long time. It's rather unfortunate that every year we have to go back to the same thing. So, like for instance, the one with Freud and Esther, it was not a matter of concern, because Esther said so. Do you understand what I mean? So it means that for as long as the woman doesn't say, "Oh, I'm offended by it," then it's really nothing. But no, that's wrong, because which means, like she said, it was. So it means that there's something that they're not doing right, which is they're not really taking the issue of consent seriously. Like this week now, I think this task would have started with someone coming to give them a talk again on consent. That hasn't happened. The housemates themselves don't even really understand. I don't think they even really understand, the different nuances on consent, different levels there is to consent. Withdrawn consent. Someone can say, "Oh, I want to kiss you now," and then they don't want to kiss you 5 minutes later. So these are the things that these people do not clearly understand. So it's very, very important. I'm not sure why this is going on. I don't know if it's an oversight or I don't know, but it's something that should be taken seriously, because you say this is national TV. I know the show is delayed, so even if something happens that we may not necessarily catch it, but then there will be conversations. I don't know how much editing they would want to do. It would be good if it doesn't happen, because it will just be unfair if for something that could be prevented. So I think as much as we've talked about it, they should really take action on that.
Yeah,
That's my take on it.
Yes, I completely agree with you, and I really do hope that they take it seriously, and God forbid anything happens, because if you listen to the news, you know that the religious zealots, the government, all parties are trying to interfere in our enjoyment of this show, and God forbid anything happens that gives them what looks like a legitimate reason to take BBNaija off air. That would make me really sad, and I'm sure I'm not the only one there. All right. So let's move on. Oh, let me just quickly take some comments. Olugbemi says, I beg. Remember Tolani Baz tried to break up with him even before they had any serious conversation at all. Prince fell into her trap, but it seems she's bored after the chase is kind of over. Yes, it's true. You've got a point there. Ohima at Toleolayinka says, I'm actually disappointed they never addressed the truth or dare situation. Why must you push for people to be drunk before you start playing a game? Drunk people can't give consent. That is a very personal point. Thank you so much, Ohima, and I hope they bear that in mind. Emma at Ems_John says, it's extremely disappointing that the organizers aren't taking the issue of consent seriously. In week 1, Kid made a disturbing comment prior to the Sunday night party. They need to address these things early on. I couldn't agree more. Tweety Bird at Purple Tweety B says, and they need to let them know that doing that is going to make you DQ. I'm with you on that 100%. God forbid anything of that nature happens. Right? So keep tweeting at us using the hashtag at BBNaijaLDBD. We are very interested to hear what you think. Thank you so much for tuning in and rocking with us and having these deep dive conversations into the happenings on Big Brother. I know some of you really enjoy it, so please spread the word, share it with your friends, share it with your neighbors, your family. Tell them to tune in, tweet at us. Let's make it a real conversation, you guys. I love doing this, and I'm thankful that you'll agree with it too. Elicion says, yes, I agree that a workshop on consent is needed for the housemates. Some of the housemates' actions are really bordering on harassment. I agree with you. All right. Tweety Bird once again says, are you putting them under unnecessary pressure so make he enter? A few of the housemates have used this phrase, apply pressure. Nobody should be put under any pressure to change their mind once they've stated their position on any matter, not just sexual matters, on any matter. This is a house. They're all adults. Leave them alone. Stop applying pressure. It's not funny, okay? The house is intense enough as it is. Please, let's not encourage these housemates to be unfair or underhanded towards each other. All right, moving on to the 4th topic on our list. Iffy. Do you know what that is? The 5th topic. Do you know what that is?
Tell me.
We are gonna discuss Lucy Lou.
Lucy.
All right. Do you want to give us a brief descriptor of Lucy and her role in the house, her journey thus far?
Okay, so Lucy is one hell of a character. Okay, like she is fire, literally. Lucy is so aggressive. I don't know, on the if you read the comments on Twitter, you would hear a lot of people saying the same thing. Lucy needs to get some sort of help. I agree with that, but then again, I think she personally needs to just work on herself. I think she's a brilliant woman, she's a brilliant woman. She is very firm, she's very, but she has a victim mentality that is just not sexy at all, you know. Lucy feels like everybody in the house is there just to fight her. Everybody in the house is there just to be against her. Girl, that's not how it works. If you don't give out good vibes, you're not gonna get good vibes. It's just the way it is. So Lucy just keeps, she's so full of negative energy. Like I think I tweet this thing at least 10 times every day. Like I'll literally I'm telling you, like I don't think I would be able to live in the same space with Lucy. Like, it would be so hectic just watching her. I mean, as a viewer watching her from as far away as I am from her, I feel so stressed out when she starts, So it's something that I'm not sure what could be done for her. I think last week she had asked to speak to a professional last week, and I think Big Brother, because I heard when she said thank you to Big Brother for the other time, so I suspect that she may have spoken to someone about it. So like I think it was like in the first day or two after she spoke to the person, she seemed like okay, she had it together, and then she's on the loose again, So Lucy is one hell of a character, but I like that she's smart. She tends to like give but then again, like, she tends to give like a lot of make a lot of input in the games. However, as long as it doesn't go her way, then she starts sulking like a 2-year-old. I mean, like then she keeps going on and on about how she's the oldest in the house and how she's this, but then you don't act like you're the oldest in the house. So at every slight inconvenience to Lucy, she throws a tantrum and goes all crazy. So yes, that's what I think about Lucy Tola.
Thank you for that. I agree with everything you said. However, I feel like Lucy just wants to be listened to or feel like she's cared for, which is why it's interesting to examine her relationship with Dora. Dora keeps it entirely real with Lucy, tells her, listen, it's not about you. You're taking this thing the wrong way. Listen to me. This is what you should have done better. This is how your approach should have been. And considering how combative Lucy is, when Dora gives her these very pointed feedback on her behavior, she takes it without much argument. She takes it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, she's sure of Dora's affection for her, so that goes in. However, in as much as I agree with everything you said, I think there's one problem with these housemates that I've noticed. If they don't perceive you as being in a particular clique or being known for being able to do a particular thing, they don't consider you. Do you understand me? They don't consider you.
I agree with you.
So, unfortunately for Lucy, coupled with her behavior and the housemate's tendency to ignore people that they don't rate, she is ignored a lot. And that also exacerbates her tendency to sulk and make everything about herself. They attempted to address this cliquish mentality today, but it didn't work. You get a task, Kidwire pulls Tricky off to the side. They decide the entire play, who's going to do what's going to do who. They come back. Praise makes a big riot about them involving everybody, blah, blah, blah. And then it still boils down to the same thing. It's a symbiosis, okay? I understand. The women and the other quiet housemates also have to speak up to be engaged. However, the louder personalities...
That's correct.
Have clearly boxed other housemates into particular squares, and they're not willing to let them emerge from there. Lucy is a woman that could do a lot more than she's shown in the house so far. However, due to her own fault and her perception amongst the housemates, the likelihood is going to be slim unless either Kidwire, Praise, or Trickety leave the house, which is not likely anytime soon, at least for the former two. So that's Lucy for you. Now, I want to discuss something real quick that a listener sent me in my DM. She said we should discuss or look into the Praise issue. Why Praise is not more popular with the housemates. So shout out to you. Oh, it's a he. Shout out to you, Oselunona Men, for raising this Praise issue. This is something myself and Ify have discussed privately. What is it about Praise that, because I don't think he's any more annoying or any more wicked or backbitey than the rest of the housemates. But he certainly brings a lot more than 99% of the people on the show. So why is it that he's not more popular with fans? Ify?
I think we've had this conversation before. I'm not sure. So here's the thing. I think that Twitter especially has a way of framing the narrative of concerning a particular housemate. So when the show starts, then we have a housemate that everybody says, "Oh, this praise is so annoying." I think that, like, I don't know if you remember in the first week I kept saying, but I mean, like, I know he can be a little talkative. I know he can be, but I don't really particularly see anything that he's doing that is so off-putting, that is so irritating that everybody's talking about. So one person starts it, and then everybody runs with it, and then before you know it, it's like, oh, praise that annoying boy. And nobody wants to vote an annoying. I mean, like, there's a house of 20 amazing people. If one person is the very annoying one that the whole like in everybody on social media has identified as annoying, so we can just keep him and just focus on other housemates. So it really did get to me when he was in the bottom four, because in terms of putting himself out there, Praise is one housemate that has sold himself on this show more than every other person. For instance, I don't know what Neo does for a living. I
Exactly.
know V sings, but then she said, I don't like to sing. But you're a singer. So what exactly are you here to do? Lakon is another person. Okay, we know Lakon is the rapper. I don't know what Brighto does. I don't know. But you see, everybody knows that this guy is an entertainer. He's a dancer. He's this, he's that. He's a fitness enthusiast and all of that. So it's kind of disappointing, that viewers are not really as taken to him as you would expect. So I don't know what the problem is. I really hope that, they see that like they really see like see him and see him for who he is. He's very expressive. He sees his mind as he is. When Ebuka made a comment on the show about people talking behind other people's backs, Praise is one person that has practically taken that upon himself to make sure that if he has issues with anyone, he's going to go to you and say it to your face. Okay, then if you're going to work it out, if you're going to settle and everything, then that's fine, we'll settle. But for right now, I'm just going to tell you as it is. I don't think that he's not a vicious person. I think he's a really chill guy as far as I'm concerned. Like, he talks a lot. Okay, he's like hyperactive and all of that, which is fine for a game like this. But I don't know why the viewers are not really feeling him like that. But yeah, I guess we're all different.
Okay, let me just take some comments on this. On Lucy, Saudat says she's just the perfect antagonist for the show, but sometimes it's too much. She doesn't know when to stop. Like V, she's very poor at social play, bottom four, and she's a goner. Assuming, of course, this annoying eviction style continues. Elysian says Lucy is smart and sometimes you really can't help but love her, but she mostly has an unpleasant attitude that needs to be worked on. Hot Yam Cheeks F Faxi says it's the need to center everything around him that rubs off the wrong way. Praise drowned everyone with his voice in the first week. I understand, but so did Neo. And Ohima at Tolo Lionka says, what personally put me off Praise was the pushing for truth or dare thing and getting really mad when it didn't go his way. It's very triggering, and it's possible it was triggering for a lot of people.
That's
I get your
correct.
point. I get your point, and I tend to agree, but I think this came on later in the show. Tweety Bird says Lucy has been dealt such a bad hand at life and she struggles to see the good in life, and I think she needs to talk through and start taking things one day at a time. I completely agree with
Okay,
you.
so I'll take some of the comments on YouTube. Ashabi Fela says, yes, Ify, her victim mentality, that's referring to Lucy, is so exhausting. I do not get it. She sulks, shames, and just a generally person. Habib Bola said that tendency to ignore people is why Erica cannot see that she has a better friend in Dorothy than she does in V. And Tolani, that's why she's doing her best to be chummy with. Bam A said, I extend some grace to Lucy because she had a rough upbringing. I feel really bad for her, but I do want her to get help. She has so much to offer. She's a passionate and smart woman. I agree with you completely, Bam A.
Yes. I think we're all on the same page with that. Burner account. I tweet Anon says, Brighto is a seaman, a mariner. Okay, that's that for that. But I mean, I think the larger point is on day one, it is possible to accurately guess at least three of the top five. Okay, so based on looks, based on perception, on day one, Ozo was already there. Nengi was already there. So that's two of the top five already. Possible one of them won't make it. I think Ozo might miss out on it, but possible for that. But on the first day, based on the way they look, light skin, fresh boy, whatever, people had already elevated Ozo in particular as the favorite. He hadn't done anything. And this isn't an anti-Ozzo spot, but I'm saying in terms of content, he's very repetitive. Everything is around this silly triangle he's got. Pestering Nengi for a relationship, being told repeatedly that she wants to be friends. And the with the way the production is, as we've already intimated, us being deluged with that particular narrative. So what else is he bringing to the game? All right, he had a spectacular week last week when he won the head of house. He also won the Friday night challenge, birthday boy, whatever. But in terms of overall content, he can't compete with Praise as an interesting character. Even when Praise isn't participating in task, he provokes conversations, provokes reactions, he settles fights. He's a really good friend to Lakon, telling him the bold truth on this matter with Erica. I've never seen Ozo address anybody like that. For example,
That's correct. That's correct.
I've never seen Nengi nor Erica address anybody like that. But for some strange reason, the viewers just don't take to Praise. I guess this is what they call a grace or whatever,
Yes.
I don't even know. And some of the listeners agree. Chi at Nellos_daughter says,
Doctor,
some housemates have grace more than others.
more than
We
others, yeah.
shrug, and Elysion says, but the difference is that Neo seems to have the FA Delta band, and also by V's. Okay, this is in reference to Praise's character versus Neo's character. But yeah, some housemates don't have to do anything, and they are ready for people are ready to die on their matter, and some housemates give everything, and people just don't like them. I mean, Kathy, for example, last season, she was at one point carrying the show, whether you agree or not. And housemates were just like, fans were just like, she talks too much. Okay, she's got to go.
And they just got stuck on the fact that she talks too much. Like,
And that was it.
no matter what Kathy brought to the table, you could see how, committed she was during tasks. You could see how she really knew a lot about a lot of things too, But then, people were just stuck at the point where, oh, she talks too much and that was it. But then a lot of the time she was speaking sense too, but hey, I guess it's grace.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's disappointing for me personally because if someone like Praise leaves the show, it'd be a poorer show. At this point, at this stage, it'd be a poorer show. And also, before we wrap up, let's quickly talk about this nomination thing again, because I'm getting worried the way it's going. Okay, I don't like how housemates' games are revealed to the house. Like, for example, now, by last week, you had already known that Eric was a weak player because the public doesn't fuck with him. But the other way of nominations, if you're a weak player, you leave the game because nobody votes for you. You don't get to sit in the house with everybody knowing that your game is weak.
Knowing that that's correct. That's correct.
Do you understand? Now, Tricky T is on the block this last week. If he's on the block again this week, it's apparent, and he gets saved, but it's apparent to everybody that his game is weak. Do you see? And then some housemates will never taste the bottom four. How is this fair to the rest of the housemates? This nomination process, and especially us not seeing it, I really feel like they violated a fundamental element of the show. But more than that, is how some housemates are perceived as weak by the other housemates because the public doesn't rock with them. Because now Praise is up, Trikiti's up again, Kaisha's up again, V or Tolani Bajo, Neo's up again. So their game is going to be revealed to the entire house. I mean, what do you think about this? Iffy? Okay, I think we've lost Iffy there. But listeners, please tweet me. Let me know what you think about this, because I'm getting concerned that the show is looking too rigged for my liking. We cannot have every week Ozo, Nengi, Kidwaya, Erica, Lekon escaping the taste of the bottom four because their armies are ready to die on the line. What do you guys think about
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Tola?
I can hear you now. Yes, I was taking your opinion. What do you think about the nominations continuing like this?
Okay, so yes, I think like from the gate, I felt it's something like this was going to happen, because you see, it's if you're up for eviction, it's different, because you know that okay, it's in house. I'm talking about the way it was before. So you know that okay, I mean, like, as the viewers to vote you or to save you or not. You see, but now, if you're in the bottom four, because I saw what it did to Praise, the week Praise, the week that he was up for eviction, with the week after, like that was last week, he just kept feeling like, or what more can I do? What more? He just became so unsure of himself. He just became unsure of himself. Like he was so worried about it. I think he even cried, a few times about it because yeah, that's what the show does. So it kind of messes with your head. Now, if everybody's up every week, I understand that it might be a business decision, for the owners of the show. However, for the housemates, you also have to consider what effect that has on them.
Psychologically, yes.
Yes, so you don't want to be like, oh, I'm the one that the viewers out there don't even like me. And then you're in the house with other housemates who've never been at the bottom four, who feel like, oh, the viewers definitely like us, but then the viewers don't like you. So even if you continue being saved by the housemates every week that you're on the bottom four, it eventually takes its toll on you. As a player in the game. So
Yep.
I think that after this week, and I'm not sure if they're going to do that, but it would be nice for them to just flip it a little bit, give us something more exciting because it's not just really getting boring. First of all, we don't even watch live how the votes. So there's nothing we're really looking forward to on Sundays except for when they announce who's leaving and that's it. So I think they should give us more really. I mean, like we're paying so much for DSTV now, they should help us. They should help us and give us small thing. But I mean, like shout out to the owners of the game, like the Big Brother organizers. I think this show is the best Big Brother ever. I'm talking about BBA, BBN. This particular season, has really given. Is like the show that keeps on giving. Every week is something new. But if you can just help us with this one small problem of nomination, we'll be very, very grateful.
No,
So yeah,
I mean, I
that's it.
think I think I was excited. You've got a noise coming from your end. Please mute your mic. I think I was excited by the prospect of this show being the best ever, but that excitement has been dampened because there's been so much interference and manipulation by the production staff. So yes, it's a good show, but I'm sorry, we're being sold an obvious soap opera at this point. I will keep watching because I love Big Brother. So even as I'm complaining, I'm not going to stop watching. But the manipulation is too apparent. They didn't even try at all to code it. So I'm done with calling it the best ever. It is, but I'm not going to be saying that anymore. Emma says it's a total mindfuck knowing that you're in the bottom four, and I hate what it does to the housemates. Here. Elysian says, I think some people didn't like Praise from day one because of his dangling earrings and by what he does. Hot Yam Cheek says, at some point the housemates would need to vote. I'm thinking when they get to the top 10, things might change. Zahava Gold Dust says, and it messes with the psyche, not the brightest ideas the organizers have come up with. I agree. Uzoma Don't Touch Hair says, this eviction process is terrible. They didn't even show Neo's votes last week. It all seems like a scam. I hope they can switch it up soon. I hope so too, because it's getting boring and it's far too predictable. Nello's daughter agrees with me. She doesn't want Praise to leave until much later in the show. Ebilimi says, I think they just want to make as much money. No, I think they was just supposed to make the money they were supposed to lose. Okay, just 71 days. That's almost a month income from votes cut off. I missed the normal nomination process. And talking about it being the best, I think it's also the best because there's been so much participation. The usual snobs who look down on Big Brother have also been avid watchers of this show with us, obviously because of the corona climate and everybody's indoors or whatever. So that also contributes to this show being so good, in quotes, so honestly, Emma, I can't agree more. I also hate that we don't see the housemates nominate each other. Let me see the players and the backstabbers. I beg. I also really want to see that. It's much more interesting for the viewers when they tell you why amongst 20 housemates they're nominating the two and their reasons. It gives us another dimension into the game that we don't necessarily see because we can't see what's in the housemates' hearts, so we don't know what they're thinking. But when they enter that diary room to nominate someone, you know exactly what they're thinking. Isn't that right, Iffy? Okay.
Okay, well,
Are you
there's
there?
something that I shout out to the R&Ds. Let me greet you guys before I say
Thank
something.
you. Thank you.
Okay, so there's this clip that went viral, right? It was of, I don't know if there's a bigger picture there, or maybe I just didn't. I'm reading too much into it. It was Nengi sitting down, and I think Ozo was like massaging her shoulder, and then this guy Kidwaya had his leg on her thighs or something, right? And then she took off this guy's hand, Ozo's hand, and at the time Kidwaya had dropped his legs, so she took Kidwaya's legs back and placed it on her leg. So basically, it felt like she was pushing Nengi away, and then maybe she likes
Ozo
Kid
away.
and pushing Ozo away, and it's like maybe she likes Kid a bit. I don't know. Is there a bigger message there, or am I just reading too much into it?
Well, so all the women in the house feel very comfortable talking to Kidwaya. He has the best conversations. They all know him for that, and it's apparent to the viewers as well. Ozo and Nengi's relationship makes me uncomfortable. And I think because it's been tagged the fine boy, the light-skinned fine boy, the favorite, people don't read his actions in the same dim view that they might read it if it was someone else, like Lekon or Praise or Tricky T, for example. Because he touches her a lot and she doesn't seem to be entirely receptive of the affections. Do you understand? So the touches are always sneaky. They're never bold touches because she hasn't really given him the green light for the affection he's trying to show her. So the rubbing of the shoulders incident, imagine if it was another housemate doing that to Nengi, or if it was Lekon doing that to Erica. Twitter would have erupted. Especially as she had to hold his hands to stop him from massaging her.
Exactly.
That shows that she didn't want him to do that. But Twitter barely batted an eyelid because of who it was and who was the recipient of the unwanted touch. Do you see what I mean? So these little things let you know how the public perceive the housemate depending on what they feel about the housemate. Also has the grace, in quotes. So he gets to get away with this borderline inappropriate behavior. Something that some other housemate could never get away with. It's human nature. If we like people, we'll make excuses for them, and that's just the way it goes.
Okay, so there's nothing there between Kidwaya and Nengi.
They're very friendly.
Okay,
they're very, very, very friendly. They're very friendly, and they have a very comfortable relationship. They're very comfortable. Like she hugs him a lot. He hugs her a lot. She's very receptive of his affections, unlike how she is with Ozo. And as she told Big Brother yesterday, she's deliberately not like that with Ozo because she doesn't want him to get the wrong idea. So she is being proactive about making sure that he doesn't get that idea that she wants him. Unlike Erica with Lekon, because Erica is so fond of hugging Lekon, playing with his hair, etc. So Nengi is being proactive in making sure she helps Ozo stay on his side of the line. Do you see what I'm saying? So...
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what that is. Ify, are you there or are you not? Okay, it appears we have lost Ify for this episode, but anyway, it's all good. I think it's time to wrap up now. Thank you all very, very, very much.
We didn't announce the housemate.
Oh my God! Before I leave, yes, the main event of the week. Drum roll, please, of yay. Who do you think the housemate of the week is? We have Erica
of the week.
We have Ozo. We have Dorothy and Lekon. Personally, for me, the deserving housemate of the week is Ozo, given the amazing week he had last week, and it also happened to be his birthday. Shout out to him. But per your votes, they voted in their hordes. The icons are not to be messed with. The icons remind me of the Titans and the Mercenaries combined. The icons said, hold up. Our boy is the housemate of the week. So for this week, going into the fourth week, your housemate of the week is the man himself, small but mighty, Lekon. Shout out to Lekon and shout out to his fans. Thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for voting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm much obliged. Thank you for allowing me to do this. I'm passionate about the show, as many of you know. And on behalf of Iffy, thank you guys. Please continue using the hashtags. Please share the show with your friends and your family and other fans of the show. Thank you so much, and I will catch you next week. Stay blessed, stay careful, and stay COVID free. Shout out the R&D. Much love. Next time.
Bad guy. You're listening to the BBNaija Lockdown Breakdown on Not Just Okay Radio.